Good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. This past Saturday, our community experienced a tragic loss when 2 lives were cut short in a devastating head-on collision. Anytime lives are lost in our roadways, it is a profound tragedy for the families involved and for our community as a whole. One of those lives was someone I knew well, Darcy Connolly Bruner. Darcy was more than just a member of the community. She was a friend, a giving person who cared deeply for her family and friends. As she had a way of making people feel welcome and valued. Her passing has left a hole in the hearts of those who knew her, including myself and members of my family. On behalf of the entire Sheriff's Office, I wanted to extend our sincere condolences to Darcy's family, friends, and all who are grieving her loss. We mourn with you, and we will honor her memory by ensuring the facts of this crash are fully investigated and the truth is brought forward. At this time, I will read the details of the crash as we know them today. On Saturday, August 9th, 2025, at approximately 12:38 p.m., Stephenson County Sheriff's deputies responded to a head-on collision on Route 26 North near Oneco Road in rural Orangeville that claimed the lives of both drivers. Preliminary investigations indicate that a Nissan Altima driven by Rolanda Aiko Choke, age 30, a Guatemalan national who had been living in Freeport, was traveling southbound on Illinois Route 26 North when it entered the northbound lane and collided head-on with a Ford Edge driven by Darcy Bruner, age 61, of Freeport. Both drivers were pronounced deceased at the scene. There were no other occupants in either vehicle. As part of the investigation, deputies are examining whether alcohol impairment by Mr. Aiko Choke may have been a contributing factor in the crash. There is no indication that Ms. Connolly Bruner was impaired. Toxicology tests will be conducted as part of the autopsy process, and results may take several weeks to be returned. The crash remains under investigation by the Illinois State Police Traffic Crash Reconstruction Unit. Autopsies are scheduled for today, August 12th. The Stephenson County Sheriff's Office wishes to thank the Orangeville Fire Department, Winslow Fire Department, Cedarville Fire Protection District, Lemons Ambulance Service, the Stephenson County Coroner's Office, and the Illinois State Traffic Crash Reconstruction Unit for their assistance. At this time, I am willing to take a minimal amount of questions. But before we get started, I want to answer the first question. Why did it take so long to release this information about the crash? There are 3 agencies working together to ensure that this incident is handled in the most professional manner for everyone. The coroner's office is responsible for notifying the next of kin in these types of cases, and he was having a difficult time locating someone from the family of Mr. Aiko Choke. It was my decision to wait as a courtesy to the coroner's office and to the Aiko Choke family. I also wanted to speak with the Bruner family and allow them to view the press release and make sure that they were comfortable with our findings. Also, the Sheriff's Office has received many requests for information about this particular case from several different media outlets. Again, it was my decision to hold this press conference so that all questions can be answered at this time rather than me handling question after question individually. Please remember during your questions, this is an ongoing investigation, and I may not be able to answer some of your questions, but I will do my best to answer.
First of all, could you say his first name again, Mr. Eichelschmidt?
It is Rolando, Rolando, and it's IC-CHOC. And everyone will be getting a copy written of our press release. So all the information will be there.
Okay. And you said that there was not reason to believe that Mr. Bruner had been drinking, but you are taking tests on Mr. Eichelschmidt. Does that mean there was some probable cause to suggest that?
There was some evidence at the scene that makes us pursue the investigation a little bit further into one direction. I can't make a comment at this time, but yes, I will confirm that Ms. Bruner was not impaired. She was not the one at fault in this crash for our preliminary investigation.
And you said Mr. Eichelschmidt was a Guatemalan national living in Freeport, is that correct?
Yes, he was living in Freeport at one time. I'm not sure where he is currently residing.
So do you have to deal with Guatemalan, I mean, it's not just next of kin, you have to talk with government agencies when you're dealing with Guatemalan national?
That's a good question, sir. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I am not involved with the notification of the next of kin. That would be the coroner's office, and I'm not sure what his process is. I know he has found someone to be in contact with, and I'm not sure how that's working out. Hopefully I will have more information on that if we have to meet again.
And because this person was a Guatemalan native, we can confirm they were not a U.S. citizen. They were still Guatemalan citizen.
I can't confirm that at this time. All I know is the only ID that was recovered was a Guatemalan national ID.
Were they both dead on arrival? Did they die?
Yes, as the press release said, they were both deceased on scene. Yes.
Any further details you can share on the head-on collision? Was the driver swerve? Any details to share?
As I stated in the press release, the Nissan Altima went into the northbound lane. Yes, went into the northbound lane and hit the other vehicle head-on. All of that will come out at a later date with the traffic reconstruction report. They will be able to give you all of that information and a lot more.
We're all professionals and you have to do your job, like I have to do my job. The fact that it's someone that was close to you that was one of those that died, how does that play a role in the investigation? Does it at all, or does it make it harder?
No, for me it does, because I'm wearing two hats right now. I'm friends with the family, but I also have to do my job. That's why I'm here. No one else is taking my place. As far as the professionals in our office that handled the call, they did not have the relationship that I did with the family, so they were able to handle this case as any other case. Just so you know, in any case, I let my guys and gals handle the case according to how they're trained in our policy, so nothing's changed. I'm not poking my nose in there. I'm not directing this investigation in any way. I'm letting the facts speak, and when the state police gets done with their investigation and the coroner's office gets done with his investigation, you'll have a professional investigation completed, and you will have all the facts.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, you said the autopsy will be done today.
Yes, I do not know what time.
Do you expect when the results might be available?
Well, depending on what type of results you're talking about, the toxology reports will be several weeks, because obviously things have to be shipped away to be analyzed. So
things like cause of death or exactly how they died.
I can't answer that. That's a great question. That would be more for the coroner's office. I don't know what the process is in his office to determine the cause of death. I'm sure he's going to go through his protocols, and he will have a finding for you as soon as he can.
Was Rolando licensed to drive in Illinois? Did he have prior criminal history?
At this time, briefly, yes, he did have he has been in our system. He has a criminal history, and at this time, I do not think he has an Illinois driver's license.
Ms. Bruner, how long has she been a member of the ISIS community? Was she born and raised in Freeport? What was her history like?
She was born and raised in this area as far as I know. I don't want to get into too much with the family things right now. I can tell you she was very well known throughout the community, and when I say community, it was more than just Stephenson County. She's well known everywhere. She's well liked. She's just a pillar of the community. Her family has been raised. She's got a great family, great kids, 4 great kids. They're all successful. It's just a tragic loss.
Were there any witnesses?
Yes, there were several witnesses for this accident.
On this specific road, have there ever been any incidents kind of to this level, this level of tragedy?
Yes, Route 26 is one of our hot spots in Stephenson County. It's a windy road. There's some blind spots, and excessive speed is always a factor when we're looking at other incidents besides just this one. And I cannot comment on the speed of this one because we don't have the results back. But in other ones, yes, and speed usually has a role on this route just because it's visible. It's a nice paved road, and people think that they can go higher than the posted speed limit, and that's what usually causes this, along with distracted driving.
Which vehicle was headed north and which was headed south?
I don't want to get this wrong for you here. The Nissan Altima, driven by Mr. Eichhoff, was traveling southbound on Illinois Route 26, and the Ford Edge, driven by Darcy Bruner, was traveling northbound on Route 26.
So when the accident took place, unless he left a mile from where he was coming from Wisconsin?
I'm not sure where he was coming from. Yeah, we don't have any of that information.
Okay.
Read reports, I wanted to confirm, was Greene County Sheriff's involved with Stephenson County after the accident?
No, I do not. This accident occurred well into Stephenson County or Illinois. At this time, I will leave copies of the press release on the desks here so that you all can retrieve one. If we're short any, please let me know. We'll get you a copy before you leave. I will now turn it over to Senator Chesney.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hello. I'm State Senator Andrew Chesney. I represent the 45th District, which includes all of Stephenson County, where the tragedy occurred. Thank you for being here today, although I wish it was under different circumstances. I think we need to be incredibly clear today that this event that happened to Miss Bruner should have never happened. The person was a felony DUI offender who I have personally verified with the Department of Homeland Security was in this country illegally, was free to get behind the wheel, and ended the life of this innocent woman. It is absolutely absurd that I have to find personal workarounds in order to even know the basic facts of this case, because our governor refuses to work with ICE to keep our families safe. This man was an illegal immigrant. He was a multiple offender. He violated both state and federal laws. And yet he could not be deported because of the Illinois Trust Act, which prevents our police departments, like this one, from working with the federal immigration authorities, directly causing a predictable and horrific tragedies like this. This would not have happened in Indiana or Iowa. In those states, repeat criminal offenders who are in this country illegally aren't released back into the public. Violent criminals with no regard for our safety or our lives are removed before they can kill. However, Illinois' Trust Act and Governor Pritzker's sanctuary state policies have created a revolving door for dangerous criminals. The Trust Act handcuffs our police and blocks cooperation with federal immigration authorities. This was an entirely preventable event. However, due to the lack of coordination with ICE to identify and apprehend illegal immigrants, crimes like this could have been avoided. We are calling for a full repeal of the Safety Act, an end to the sanctuary policies in the state, and for the cooperation between local law enforcement and federal law enforcement to get criminals that are illegal in this country off of our streets. Illinois, to be clear, will never be safe until we stop protecting criminals and start protecting families. We will fight until our laws punish the guilty, protect the innocent, and ensure no family has to endure a loss like this again. I will now turn it over to Leader McCombie.
Thank you, Senator. I'm Tony McCombie, State Representative of the 89th District, which is located here where the site was. Also the House Minority Leader in Springfield. This is an unimaginable, devastating circumstance for us to be here, and I want to extend my deepest condolences to Mr. Bruner, his 4 children, and the family and friends of Darcy Bruner. I did not know Darcy personally, but the Bruner name is well known in our community. Through the heartfelt stories I've heard, some of those from Sheriff Stovall, is that she was a kind, giving, reliable, and deeply loved. Her sudden death has shaken Northwest Illinois. When tragedies like this happen, we look for answers. We look for ways to make sense of something that feels senseless. And we have to be honest, some of those answers point to failed policies. In Illinois, the sanctuary state laws and the Safety Act have weakened law enforcement, made it harder to cooperate with federal authorities, and allowed dangerous individuals to remain in our communities. In this case, the driver involved had prior arrest, warrants, and a federal detainer, yet he was on our roads. This is not just a tragedy, it is a policy failure that may have been preventable. Every law we pass in Springfield has consequences. Too often, the consequences on soft-on-crime laws fall on families that are innocent. How many more lives have to be lost before we take action? Later this week, lawmakers will gather at the state fair to celebrate small businesses, our farmers, and Illinois-made products. Those things are worth celebrating. There is no press conference, there is no ribbon cutting, there is no photo op, no speech that progress can erase the fact that policies like this are making our communities unsafe. We can and we must do better. We must keep dangerous offenders behind bars. We must end policies that shield individuals from accountability. And we must give our law enforcement officers the tools and cooperation they need to protect our communities. To our first responders, thank you for your service and for your care you have shown the Bruner family. You have a partner in me and in our caucus. And to the Bruner family, you are in my heart and in my prayers as I return to Springfield to fight for policies that put safety of Illinois families first. Now I would like to introduce Assistant Leader John Cabello.
Good morning. John Cabello, State Representative in the 90th District, and honored to be one of Tony's Assistant Minority Leaders. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers go to the families that are involved. And I also want to say that it is very difficult to come up and speak about one of your family friends. So I give Sheriff Stovall immense credit. He is definitely a professional, and he will make sure that his feelings do not get involved. He will make sure that justice is served, whatever the facts prove. So I just want to make sure that everybody is clear on that. He has my full trust and support. But as some of the other folks were saying, I got a bunch of notes here, and I mean, everybody said everything that needs to be said, except for I hold J.B. Pritzker personally responsible. I hold the Democrats personally responsible. This should not have happened. Period. We have a life that was taken by somebody that shouldn't have been here. There are millions of people that come to this great nation legally. That's what we want. That's what we as tax-paying citizens deserve. We want people to come here. Just follow the laws to get here. Follow the laws when you come here and stay here. And raise a family. Be good serving citizens to your family and friends. But we can't continue to allow this stuff to happen. The interest of justice is more important than anything else. As a 30-year law enforcement officer, several within the traffic division, reconstructing fatal crashes, I can tell you, you're not going to have the answers very quickly, because this stuff takes a lot of time, because they're doing the professional things that need to be done, answering all the questions that a judge and jury will need to know before they actually bring it to court. I think when we look at what J.B. Pritzker and the Democrats have done to this state, is disgusting. How do you not let a law enforcement agency talk to another? It's idiotic. It's reckless. And it puts people in danger. If this man had a warrant, and we find that it should have been served, but the state government said, we're not going to assist, we all need to rise up. And we need to demand resignations from our elected officials that are doing that. That's what we need to do. That's from here on out, we must serve the folks that pay for this, that pay for our salaries, that pay for everything that this government does. Yet, we make it easier for illegals to get away. I can tell you countless traffic deaths that I've investigated throughout my careers from illegals that were at fault, that fled across and are still not caught today. How do you think that makes the families feel? The victims' families feel? That we can't do anything about it. The interest of justice needs to come first. And that's what we should be demanding.
We would just open it up to any questions if you have any.
I've got to ask Leo McCombie, we've chatted about this. Senator Chesney, you spoke with my colleague at Big Radio. While the governor's introducing welcoming Texas lawmakers, he's ignoring a lot of these issues, sort of dipping his toes into the national water, and yet this accident hits home in Orangeville. Is it time for the governor to actually look into these matters instead of playing national politics over the summer?
Well, the obvious answer is yes. And that's what I think is surprising, that he actually stated he was going to run for governor again, because he's obviously been on the presidential trail for quite some time. you can't do both. You can't wear those two hats. He's going to have to decide, is he going to support the people of Illinois, or is he going to not? And this is not the only example. We have other colleagues, and other colleagues on the other side of the aisle have similar incidences that are pretty brutal, and we have to repeal the sanctuary state policy. We just have to. To think that people are here that shouldn't be here, that have committed a crime, and that are still out, that also can fall on our Safety Act, which here again is another piece, not to get overly political, but we have in our caucus law enforcement, Representative Cabello being one, state's attorneys, professionals in the field, and to not be considered for input when the Safety Act was put into place, or even the people that did the study, the judges and other law enforcement that were actually involved, for their recommendations not to be considered. That is where bad policy comes from, and that's where people get hurt and killed that shouldn't be.
You bring up a lot of good points, and we're going to obviously go to the governor to get his response to all of this as well. Do you have any concerns about the timing of when you're saying this? Kind of similar to like if a shooter with an AR-15 goes into school and kills people, to have a press conference right away talking about we should ban AR-15. I mean, is there a concern about politicization of this story when it comes out as the press release comes out?
What? We're lawmakers, and the laws in the state of Illinois are the reason that Darcy's dead. And this would not have happened if you lived in Iowa or Indiana. And so it's not political. What we're calling on is not to talk about elections. What we're asking for is us to change state policy so these events don't happen. To be crystal clear, this person was in this country illegally and was a multiple criminal offender, domestics, felony DUIs. And our local law enforcement is unable to communicate with federal authorities to remove people like this from our state and our country. And it's a direct result of the policies that we pass in Springfield. And so I can't think of a more appropriate time to call on the governor, call a special session to bring us down to Springfield so people, that families don't have to experience this throughout the state, because it is happening not just in Stephenson County. We're trying to bring more visibility to this because we have been calling for the end of sanctuary state policies, the elimination of the Trust Act, and the elimination of the Safety Act that have eliminated cash bail for repeat offenders and criminal aliens in our country. We've asked that local law enforcement should be able to communicate with federal authorities, and that we stop rolling out the red carpet for people that are in this country illegally. And I don't think that's political. We're asking for legislative changes. Anything else?
At what point did you know about the person being offended as well as international? Did you get that from investigators?
Well, I reached out, just like I just called a 1-800 number with the Department of Homeland Security. And I went through what every citizen would have to do, starting making phone calls until somebody would pick up their phone. And I was finally, after multiple attempts, because the sheriff's office is unable to communicate with us on this, but federal authorities can. And I finally got somebody in the Chicago office that confirmed that this person was in this country illegally. But think of what lawmakers have to go through, that I can't ask my local sheriff that very basic question because of a violation, because he has to run the risk of he and his guys being decertified as law enforcement officers. But us as elected officials call 1-800 numbers to try to get the information that you all want to know. This person was in this country illegally, and we lost a life because of it.
When continuing the DUI laws in Illinois and all the hoops that a citizen would have to go through in Illinois just to get their license back for this particular individual to have a prior DUI conviction and yet continue to drive, even without potentially a license, I mean, what does that say about the leniency on DUI laws for potential Guatemalan national compared to someone who's from Freeport, Orangeville, Lena, etc.?
Well, I can tell you that if the laws of this state have it so that if you are an illegal, you have a much better chance of having no consequences whatsoever. If you live here, law enforcement will be able to communicate with everybody else on what's going on. That's a major problem. If he's been found with felony DUI before, why is he still driving? Because there's no consequences. If he does get caught again, he goes to court and is probably deemed that he is not going to hurt anybody, so he's let out with a safety act. So the cash bail, I can go as far as saying I'm okay with it for low-level offenses. When are you going to start getting into aggravated DUI, felony DUI, murder, armed robbery, and so on and so forth? Why are we doing this? It makes no sense whatsoever. The advocates are saying, well, we need to make sure that everybody's the same. We need to make sure that the poor folks can get out of jail just like the rich folks. Well, I'm okay with that statement if it's low-level offenses. Why are we doing this for major crimes? It makes no sense. We're putting people at risk. And they know this. And we've seen it throughout this country. Yet, we want to go further because J.B. Pritzker is walking to be president.
Just to confirm through your information that you got through the Chicago office, we don't know how long this individual's been in the country?
I believe it was, I don't have my notes, I believe it was June of 22 is when he entered the country illegally, and that was confirmed with DHS in the Rockford field office.
Any information on how long he's been in Stephenson County?
Well, I can't get that information because, again, the local law enforcement can't communicate with ICE, and there's a lot of concern with the Trust Act, so I don't have that information. But we have verified both the date he entered in this country illegally, his multiple offenses, and his overall immigration status.
I can tell you, too long.
Yeah.
The felonies, did they occur, do you know, in Stephenson County, or the past felonies for Mr. Edwell?
That would be a question, a more appropriate question, I think, for the sheriff's office. I don't have the exact information on that, but we did verify the following things: that he was a repeat offender, aggravated DUI, felony DUI, and in this country illegally, and came in June 22. So we know. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you for Stephenson County Sheriff Steve Stovall giving the details of this double fatal traffic